today I'm going to be editing your photos. I did this video a few months ago and you guys seem to like it, so I did a little post on the community tab and asked you guys to send in a few raw images for me to edit. And if you are watching this video and you want me to edit your photos, I might do this again in another few months. So you can send it, there's an email in the description that you can send your photos to be considered. Okay, so let's get started. I'm using my Light and Airy preset, which is the color version. It is the preset that I literally use to edit my own weddings, and I use it for everything. And then I'll probably put my black and white preset on here as well. It's called Cleland 3200. Okay, a little play on Ilford's black and white film stock. So let's go. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 people. 6 of you I chose to edit your photos. So we're gonna start with Andrew. I'm going to include all their Instagram as well if you want to give them some love and say, hey, great images that you sent in or whatever, or just say hello. Okay, so let's start with Andrew. I'm also going to mention, I get this question a lot if people are interested in my preset. Does it work on Canon? Does it work on Sony? Does it work on Fujifilm? Well, we have all of those photos today. So this is a CR3 file, which means it is on Canon, and let's do it. It's like the most satisfying thing to just put your preset like on a photo and it's just like, oh yes, it's so nice. So I'm just going to bring up the exposure here. And as you know, I have to straighten everything. So I made a whole video about this, but one thing that I would do here is I hit the letter M for masking tool, and I'm just gonna like drag that in there and just do a little lightning, and that looks really nice. Now, one thing I would mention is that there is a bit of yellow on the right-hand side of this image, which tells me that the lights were probably on inside. Your photos will come out just so much clearer. The colors will be clean and they will look proper if you shut those interior lights off. So shut those off. Here we have more interior lights, but that's okay because you can really tell, right? You can see how warm it is over here and how cool it is. I might be wrong. Maybe it's something that's just super warm and making it look warm, but I'm pretty sure there's some incandescent lighting on. So that's what it also makes it a little tricky to figure out the white balance. But if we do our mask again, this is one thing nice that I sometimes will do is just add some warmth where it's cool. And that will help you kind of balance out the entire image. So I'm gonna bring my warmth back down. Maybe a little exposure here. It's looking pretty good. One little tip here. I'm gonna give, my 2 cents on these photos as well. But one thing I would do is just bring that frame down, right? Make sure not to cut off people's toes, because especially if you need to straighten a photo, I'm already losing her toe, which is unfortunate because you want to be able to show off those shoes. But great images so far, Andrew. I believe it's Andrew, right? Hold on, let me look at his... Andrew, great work so far. Okay, let's look at Andrew's last photo here. Oh, we got some nice evening sunset light. We're gonna add this here. Now, it also all depends on your white balance too. So as you can see, it's actually, I think, pretty good set for daylight balance. I don't like to use variable white balance because your camera is altering it all the time throughout the whole day. So it can be really helpful to set your white balance fixed for the entire day. It makes a huge difference to editing. Now, one thing I'm gonna do with this image here is I'm gonna just do like an extra punch. And then I'm also going to do the film grit. And then I'm just gonna bring down the exposure a little bit. And it's pretty warm outside with that light, so I'm just gonna bring down that as well. Maybe the contrast just down a little bit. It's looking good. Okay, Andrew, thanks for sending those in. Let's go to Hannah. Oh, we got some different looks here. So we've got some outside vibes. This is an ARW file, which is Sony, right? I believe it's Sony. Okay, so let's edit the Sony photo. I kind of like this. This is different. This is some harsh light. Let's put on that light and airy thing. One thing I'll do too is just a blue tilt, because as you can tell, sometimes it depends if you like, you know, greener blues or bluer blues, but the blue tilt moves it to a bluer blue. And because we have such harsh lighting, I'm gonna do the shadow boost as well. And then we're gonna bring up this. Oh, delicious, look at that. Those colors are so fun. Just gonna bring that down a little bit. Okay, and obviously I'm trying here. We all know when you edit a photo for the first time, sometimes your white balance can just be off a little bit. So forgive me if the photos are a little warm or a little cool. Generally, I would do 2 rounds of this so I could like make sure my eyes are corrected, but that's really fun. I'm liking what that's looking like. Okay. Ooh, I feel like the preset works so nicely in these type of images, that like sunset warmth. What else shall we do here? Let's do some, I like this. Let's do some film grit here. And I'm gonna do blue because he has a blue suit. And I like the blue tilt on that. Okay, so we're gonna add some warmth because it's post sunset. So we've lost some of our warmth. Maybe just a little more magenta. Okay, a little less. It's looking so nice. And honestly, this is one of the reasons why I love my preset. That's why I love sharing it with you guys and talking about it, because it makes editing so much easier. Like, it's like fun to edit when you put something on and you're like, oh, wow, that looks so dreamy. I love this backlit here. I think this is looking really nice with the preset. I'm just gonna warm it up a little bit. Maybe actually the shadow boost. Yeah. Adding the shadow boost, and I'm just gonna bring the exposure down. You know, one of the questions I get too is about this preset is like, should you shoot hot? Like, should you shoot bright? Should you shoot dark? And the answer that I'll often give is it depends on your camera. And so what I'm looking for when I shoot Nikon, I tend to shoot a little dark, because for Nikon, I find that the highlights just get lost. As soon as, if you overexpose your highlights and they're like clipping, they're gone. Forget it, you've lost that information. And when you're talking about wedding days, you're talking about dresses, you're talking about maybe a sky that you want to be able to see some of the blue in, you want to be careful not to lose that. And I think that's a criticism, rightly so, of light and airy styles where it's like blown out. I don't want blown out images. I want to be able to see the dress details. I want to be able to see sometimes the sky. And so it's important to make sure that kind of figuring out where your camera lies and what kind of side of the exposure you should be on. And some of that just takes a little bit of trial and error to kind of figure out, you know, where your camera is best situated. ARW, did I say that this was Sony already? I think it's Sony. I don't remember what I just said. Ooh, this, look at that. Oh, already so nice. One thing I would say here too is just to, again, similar to that other image, I would have liked the camera to just be down a little bit. I know, I understand you kind of want to be able to see parts of this building here, but it would be nice to see just a little bit more of her dress. Did I have any thoughts on this previous photo? I think that's fun. The one thing is that it's out of focus, but it's a little hard to tell, but you could maybe get away with it. Actually, sometimes, as a little trick, sometimes it can be helpful to make an out of focus image black and white. It kind of, even if you didn't mean to do it, sometimes it can make it feel a little more intentional, especially if it's a great shot and it's out of focus and you're like, oh man, I wish I could use this. Sometimes, you know, making it black and white can be really forgiving. And so this is where I love this is my black and white preset here. I'm gonna just do a shadow boost on this too, and then bring down the exposure. That's actually that is so fun in black and white. And here are some of the little things. Again, blue boost just gives different emphasis. Yeah, just emphasis. Gives a different emphasis on some of the colors in your image, which can be, that's really fun. Okay, let's go back to this one. We're getting distracted. Yeah, I love this. I'm gonna add just a little bit of warmth, and that's very fun. Maybe a little brighter. See, yeah, I want to play with getting that. I want it to be light. I want it to be airy, but I want to be careful not to blow it out. And just by bringing the highlights down a little bit, you can do quite a bit with that. It's looking really nice. Hannah, great images so far. Okay, this is fun. We got a little, looks like maybe cocktail hour or reception or something. It's a nice little moment with this little girl coming up to the bride. I love it. Come on, look at that. That looks beautiful. I'm gonna just maybe warm it up a little bit more, but that is so nice. Now, one thing that I have been doing, which is like I'm getting a little greedy in my photo editing, is in scenarios like this where it's not maybe like the most important image of the whole wedding, but it's still a great shot that you would just like to kind of clean it up a little bit. I have been loving the like AI removal. I know if any of you used it, it either, my opinion of it is that it either works great or it's completely useless. And so I'm gonna hope that it is gonna be completely great. And I just take a little bit of time and effort just to like highlight just some of this junk in the side of the image. And sometimes this is either gonna work amazing or it's gonna be terrible. Okay, hold on. Let's change to generative AI. Oh no, did I not select it? Okay, I gotta make sure I'm selected on generative, the AI one first. Okay, let me do it again. This is truly going to be a drum roll of whether it's gonna like take it away perfectly or it's gonna put like a fox there or something. Okay, let's see what happens. Remove it. See what happens. Crazy, huh? Like, okay, the grass is like a little wispy there, but that is incredible. Like the fact that we can do that as photographers so quickly now, like, I love it. Even just something like this, I don't know if it'll take, okay, let's go. Let's go into an AI deep dive here, okay? I'm just gonna select both sides of this car. It's just details like this that could take a great image that maybe you won't share as a portfolio image because of some of these details. Okay, so that's kind of funny. It like put in a building there. I don't know if that's actually better. I like don't mind the building. That's kind of terrible. Like it's kind of weird, but it does really elevate. It's like, oh, a car's back there. But by having something like that, I know that's a little ridiculous, but it just cleans up this image so much. And I think it can take a photo that has a lot of extra stuff in it that you didn't intend or maybe didn't see. And it could turn it into a possible portfolio image. So thanks, Hannah. Thanks for those great images. And let's see the next one. I wish I could fluently pronounce your name, but I'm not going to try. But an amazing name, okay? Like that's a very cool name. Okay, these aren't wedding photos, but I thought this would be like interesting couple images to edit because these are, you know, portraits outside of the wedding context. But here we go. This is like gonna be the easiest editing ever. I think the light is very suited to the preset. So all I'm gonna do is just pull up the brightness a little bit. That's great. These are beautiful images. ARW, Sony again. I love the lighting. It's very similar to also how I shoot. We have some, you can really tell that there's some backlighting here. The exposures are done really well. Done, right? Let's go to this last one. Also, Rick's looks really nice. I think my magenta is a little high, so I'm just gonna bring that back. I think, let's like go through some of these things that we haven't done. I actually might do some film grit on this and maybe just a shadow boost as well. So the shadow boost is kind of gonna overexpose it because I moved this, and then I'm just gonna bring down back the exposure. I feel like it's a little magenta or something's going on. Something's going on here. Okay, oh, maybe that's it. There we go. Now we're talking. Great shot. Okay, a little overexposed. That's really nice. I think this shot would also look really, yeah, in black and white. That's gonna look really beautiful. Ooh, I kind of like the flat on this one. It gives that kind of film overexposed vibe. I love that. That's really great. Okay, thanks for sending in your images. Those are great. Okay, let's go to Jackie. Jackie has a few images here. Outdoors, backlit, very nice. Okay, let's do it. Especially we got a lot of blue, we'll make sure to do our blue tilt. I like a little bit of a deeper blue, less turquoise in it, but that's looking really nice. What was this shot? On a 32 millimeter f4. Really nice. So I can do some blue tilt. That's nice. You know, something that some adjustments that I like to do, especially, you know, in ceremony shots when you have like really clean lines, it looks like the aisle was not perfectly centered on this patio or whatever it's called. And so you can tell that the lines just like aren't perfect, and it kind of like throws me off a little bit. So just going into the transform section, I'm just going to pull, where am I doing? Okay, I'm just gonna straighten these lines. So I'm using my little grid here and just moving them a little bit, and then I'm gonna rotate this just to perfect it just a little bit. And I think just that little touch can make a good difference in just the feeling of that image. Now, something you gotta be careful about is when you do that transform, it can create a little bit of a white edge. So I'm just gonna bring in my crop there. Awesome. Okay, let's go to the next one. These are like, guys, these are all images that are working so nicely with just exposure, lighting. That's beautiful. Let's do this film grid. I think this will be nice. Adds a little bit of a warmer undertones to some of the shadows. That's really nice. And honestly, that's why I love my preset. That's why I love talking about it, because honestly, when I use it, it's fun. It's fun to get your images back, to put the preset on, and to be like, this is just magic that hits. And you're like, ooh, like, that's exactly what I wanted it to be. Like, that is so, it adds just, I don't know if like level of luxury is the right word, but it elevates your images and makes them feel just like dreamy, gives you that high-end, dreamy, romantic feel, which is why I love it and why I love sharing it with people. So, okay, bring down the warmth a little bit, and magenta. I'm always looking what I'm looking for too when I'm editing these white balances and the tint is the skin tones. Like, I want the skin tones to look good. And so I'm always asking myself, does the person, like, do they look dead or do they look like warm? And there's always that fine balance of wanting that light and airy look that looks very neutral and it's not beachy warm or not like cold. And so you're always just kind of on the edge of figuring out the balance between those two. Great shot of all the boys. This is also when someone has like a black suit on. This is where I like to use the blue tilt, because it makes suits darker. Like, it makes it make sure that they look black. I don't know if you've ever edited images and you have like a black suit and you're like, why are they like kind of green looking? Well, that color adjustment makes sure that dark images look really rich. Here's this last shot that Jackie took at the end of the day. It's really nice. We're gonna bring back our warmth here. Actually, I think black and white is gonna look really nice on this. Yes. Like, I love, because there's so many nice dark elements on the roof of this venue. His jacket has that black detail. I think that's really nice. Let me see. I'm gonna add some green boost and blue. Oh no, I don't like the blue as much on that one. Let's just leave it to the green. It's really nice. Beautiful. Thank you, Jackie. Thanks for sending in your images. Okay, we've got 2 people left. We have Jordan, and last will be Pauline. So let's check out Jordan's image. All right, lots of green. This is gonna show too that this preset that I have worked on for literally years. I probably started developing it. It would have been almost 7 years ago. And how I've developed it was that I shoot film, photography, and digital. And every time I have gotten my film scans back over the years, I have put up my film scans with my digital images and just kept adjusting colors, adjusting, the interpretation of colors, interpretation of like brightness, highlights, midtones, all of that stuff, so that over the years, there's times when I'm like, wait, is that a film image or a digital image? Because it's so correlated to my film work, which is Kodak Portra 400. And so it's not the same as any all film, emulation presets, because it's specific to how I ask my lab to develop my film presets based on colors, editing, brightness, contrast, all of those things. And so that's why I love about it, because it's very uniquely me, but falls within the category of the light and airy film look. Something that I just like tell right off the bat, which like I think this is a great image of this groom, but like just it would make your life so much easier not to have him stand on this. Let's see if our AI will help us out. Drum roll, please. Either this will be beautiful or it'll be hilarious. Let's see what happens. Drum roll. Oh, nice. All right, focus is a little weird. I mean, the sharpness is a little weird, but you're not going to notice that. That looks great. Okay. Now, it can be easy when you put the preset on, especially when there's lots of green, for the green to be like gone. Like, oh no, what happened to the green? My first thing would be I would add a little warmth to this, because it's gone a little too cool. And then you're like, okay, I'm feeling that green. And sometimes I like having a more muted green so it doesn't take over the image. I think now I'm actually looking at the groom, when before I was like, the first thing I looked at was the grass because it was so vivid and intense. But I really like this. There are times that I want just really just a deeper, richer green that kind of jumps out at you. And that's what the intense green is for. It just adds this kind of like, it just like dials up the green so that it's not intense and overpowering, but it just adds some depth to it. Sometimes I want it. And look, can you notice his suit is a little off? So we're just going to add the blue tilt. And it's going to just make it a little darker. Not darker, more black. Let's keep going. Oh, there's a nice detail image, something very similar. Actually, you know what I kind of want to see? I kind of want to see this guy in black and white. I think that's going to be really nice. Bring this down. And then also, let's see what a green boost does. Yeah. Because I find without the green boost, it's kind of a little flat, or it's lost a lot of its detail. And so, especially for images with a lot of green, brings back that green into the black and white. Oof, yes. Okay, I love that. Okay, let's go to the detail image. Adding our light and airy. Again, I'm going to add just a little bit of warmth because it looks like it's either overcast, we don't have much sun. And that's nice. If there is obviously some bright foreground, maybe a dark background, that's where I like to do the shadow boost. See? And it just evens it out so you don't have this like dark hole in the back of your image. So using that boost will even it out. I really like that. Beautiful. Sorry, I'm just going to bring this up a little bit because I feel like my balance, there's a little too much grass, and I'm looking at the grass first and not at the flowers. All right, great image of this bride. The one thing I would say is that I would have loved to see like all of her dress, like either come back a bit so you can see mostly all of her dress, or go back in. So I feel like right now it's a little bit in between, and I wish it was either further back or closer in, not so much in the middle. But great shot, great exposures and sharpness. I like this. Let's do, oh, and this is an RAF image, which means Fujifilm people out there. Here you go. I'm just gonna bring down our temperature. That's really nice. I feel like this is where I'm talking about, where the white balance is like on the border of like, is it like too cold? Like looking at these flowers, are they like too white or should they be warmer? So like, that is too cold. So I'm just gonna like bring it in just a little bit. No, back a little bit. I feel like somewhere in there is nice. And I think I'm gonna do the intense green again because I just want, yeah, I want some vibrancy in this image because there's so much white. And then I'll also just do the blue tilt. Really nice. Ooh, maybe some film grit just to really add some dimension to this image. I'm gonna bring down the magenta a little bit. That is nice. Can we just see a before and after on this one? Yes, that's really nice. See the like depth and richness that it brings to the image? It's really nice. Okay, thank you, Jordan. Thanks for sending in our images. All right, last but not least, we're gonna go through Pauline's images here. Okay, so wow, very different ceremony, very unique looking. Let's do some light and airy. I think it's gonna, oh yeah, look at that. That's very nice. This is gonna be tricky because there's some warm, you can see right here, there's like some warm elements from the sun reflecting and then there's some cool elements. This is a good time when I would, if you haven't seen my masking video, I would use like a brush here. Oh, where is it? I usually just use K for the shortcut. But this is a scenario where if I wanted to balance out some editing in an image, I would just go in here because he looks quite cool and I would just bump up a little bit of the warmth there for him. And that could take a cool section of the image or a warm section of the image and kind of balance things out so you don't have kind of crazy things going on. This is a great end of the ceremony shot with like some speckled light. And this is also, you know, going back to where your photo should be exposed. This is a good example of when you have really like punchy, bright highlights like this light, is to be aware of that and expose for that. So it looks like when I bring down the exposure, you can tell that that's completely blown out and there's no pulling that back. So I would have shot even a little darker so that I'd be able to pull that highlight back. And then I'm just going to bring up the brightness here. You know, this might be a scenario where I'm not maybe loving how the colors are looking, mostly because of all of that, also because of that highlight on his eye that's blown out. So sometimes the black and white is just so helpful in that scenario. Like, look at that, right? It just takes away the color issue. And I think that's why I love black and white, not just because it helps make maybe not ideal photos a lot better, but because of what it does in not having an image with color. It just helps you focus on a great moment that she captured. Maybe the colors aren't perfect, but this moment is really great. And having an image move to black and white can really make a big difference. I'm gonna add, let's see what options we have. Oh, I like the extra punch. The green boost is kind of nice. I think I kind of like I wanna do this blue, but then brighten it a little bit. Yeah, that's very nice. So it goes from that to this. Very fun. Maybe, I like the extra punch too. And if I bring it down a little bit and maybe just a little less contrast, I think that's very fun. Wait, let me play around a little bit more. The shadow boost is kind of fun too. If I just bring this down, maybe I'll bring my, whoa. This is a little bit more of a tricky one. Oh, honestly, I kind of like the original. It's funny how, right? You like do all this editing and then you're like, oh yeah, maybe just the first one was exactly perfect. Yeah, no, I like the original, I think, the most. Okay, this is totally not a wedding image at all, but I thought that as soon as I saw this image in here, I was like, ooh, I want to see what my preset looks like on this because I love using it. It's literally, I'm telling you, I use this preset for everything, but I love using this on my travel images. It's so fun. And I think it takes even just like my personal travel images, it takes it from just like a photo to, it feels like art. It feels like a painting. Okay, look at that. I'll add a little bit more warmth because we have all this like sand. I think it's really fun, but that's beautiful. Oh, you know what? I can do the shadow boost here. Yes. Yes, and maybe a little blue tilt. Let me see what the film grid looks like. That's cool. Like, see how different that is? You can really tell with these mid-tones what it's doing. I'm gonna bring down the magenta just a little bit, but wow. Yeah, that's very fun. Oh, that is beautiful. Great shot. Okay, last two images here. Ooh, you know what? I feel like this is a black and white scenario. Yes, it is. Bringing down that. I know I'm a light and airy photographer, and the preset is literally called light and airy, but there are times, and I think this is a good example of where you could really, you know, bring the exposure down a little bit. And it's just such pretty light coming in. I love this kind of line of shadow here. Yeah, that's really nice. Okay, last image. Oh my goodness, last image. Let's do the light and airy. Okay, we have a lot of magenta in this image, so we're gonna bring that down. Maybe warm it up just a touch. And here we go. Really nice. I might also do just a blue tilt. I feel like maybe this is where we need to do some film gray as well. And that's it. Just gonna bring it down a little bit. Crop it. Okay, great. Thank you guys for sending in your images. It was so much fun editing them, and I hope you learned a couple things along the way. And if you're interested in picking up a light and airy preset or the Cleland 3200 black and white preset, you can check out the link in the description, and we will see you next time. Okay, bye.